I have a couple of different experiences to share with. I also have a few things in my little topic that touch on the exact same things that Doc was talking about. Um, One of the experiences, my daughter, I love her to death. She's my little princess, of course. Uh, Unfortunately, when she hit puberty, uh, she started to smell like a dead skunk's butt. It's, I love her to death, but there's no real other way to put it. We actually had to take her into the doctor to have something done. We got her on a regular schedule of washing and cleaning herself, and it just didn't seem to get any better. As a matter of fact, she got worse as the year went on through her puberty. They actually ended up having to prescribe a clinical strength deodorant spray for her to use after she showered every day. In this little vial, it looks like a eyeglass cleaning kit, one of the old style ones that had that little spray bottle that just spits up into the air, and it's called Hypercare. I looked at the ingredients on this thing, and my first thought was, "Oh my God, she's going to have breast cancer tomorrow." This is just scary, scary stuff. Well, my other story involves my girlfriend, who is a allergic reaction to metals. Her reaction is so severe that if a belt buckle, for instance, rubs against her stomach while she's sitting in a car, a matter of a half hour touching that, we get to where we're going, and she's got a rash. Looks like somebody's taken a strawberry and just stuck it to her skin, right where that belt buckle has touched her. Rings, for instance. We started ring shopping, looking for the engagement ring, the wedding ring, things like that. I wouldn't call myself a cheapskate, but man, I love to save money. And unfortunately, her metal allergies mean I've got to go for the really expensive jewelry. If she gets in contact with anything that's, say, plated or under a certain carat weight, 18 karat gold, if it's anything less than that, she breaks out. So she has to have those. A metal reaction or a skin reaction to metals is called contact dermatitis. And there's an actual physical condition for that. Back to my daughter's story, however, the stuff that they put inside of this little spray. Well, one of the ingredients, the main ingredient in it, is called aluminum chloride hexahydrate, and that's 20% by volume. I started thinking, what in the heck is this stuff? I know that aluminum zirconium is in underarm deodorant, and that's not good for you. What is this stuff? Well, I started looking into it, and it turns out that unlike aluminum zirconium tetrachloride, or GLY, that they put in normal underarm deodorant, this stuff, when I looked it up on the internet, actually came back with an MSDS materials standard data sheet. I don't know if too many of you are familiar with what that is. To give you a hint, if you've ever been behind a Praxair welding truck or a fuel tanker on the freeway, a fuel tanker will have a little placard on the back of it with 4 squares in the shape of a diamond. And these squares will be color-coded, and they'll have numbers inside of them. Well, each of those tell of the chemical composition of what they're carrying, the materials they will react to, and how to stop the chemical reaction. That's what those shields are actually for. Whether it be liquid nitrogen, oxygen, whether it be propane, butane, actual fuel, diesel fuel, all of those things have the MSDS, Material Standard Status Sheet, attached with them. If you see the vehicles on the road, they actually carry a special classification for CDL drivers, meaning you have to take a materials safety course in order to have one of those placards on your vehicle. So even truck drivers have to be specially trained how to deal with the chemicals inside of them. This is called a hazmat license or hazardous materials. Okay, so this little bottle right here I've got in my hand, actually, when I looked up the ingredient on that, it comes back saying that this stuff has an MSDS and it is corrosive. It has hazard warnings on it saying that it reacts to water. I don't know about any of you, but we were just talking about moisture in the underarm area. That means that this stuff they just prescribed for my daughter, who's barely a teen, is now prescribed something that mixes with water corrosively, reacts with water. It's actually on the definition, it says, in high humidity, it smokes or smolders. When in direct contact with water, it hisses and fizzles. Actual words they used in the description of this. Okay? This stuff reacts violently with water. One of the main substances now coming out of your body in the form of sweat. Other things that it actually reacts to is aluminum fluoride, aluminum bromide, and aluminum iodide. All three create really, really toxic gases and really toxic fluids, all of them consisting of an acidic level. This acidic level on this thing is actually rated as a 2. The battery acid in old-style batteries in your car is rated as a 3, which means this stuff is actually worse for you than the battery acid in your car. But it gets better. When it mixes with water in your body, it creates iron chloride baron trifluoride, which is a form of acid that creates electricity. They use this to create hydrolysis in liquid fluids inside of batteries. You will find this as one of the main compounds or components. For aluminum chloride, you will find them inside of any AA 9 volts ACD or any other type of battery, which means my daughter basically has created electricity in her armpit, which honestly doesn't sound like a good idea to me. It sounds really, really bad. Okay, well, bottom line, both of them are using the crystal deodorant. My daughter, believe it or not, I can walk up and give her a hug any day of the week, and I'm not offended by the odor I find. My girlfriend absolutely has not. She had a reaction in her lymph nodes under her arms. She hasn't had a reaction since she started using that. She smells close enough to get, or smells good enough to get close to on my end. There's really been no adverse reaction whatsoever with that. I've even used them myself, and surprisingly, I don't smell either. So, yeah, just to cut things short, yeah, I absolutely swear by them. These things are wonderful, wonderful.
And you use the solid stick deodorant, the crystal stick?
Yeah.
Can you tell exactly how you work those? What do you have to do with those when you get them?
The crystals are actually kind of interesting. You take a shower like normal. You use your regular soaps. You use whatever you use on a normal basis. You get out and towel off. Make sure that you're completely dry. Make sure your armpit's dry. You take the crystal, run it underneath the tap, just a couple of times across the tap, and then apply it to your underarm. 2 or 3 passes, you're good to go. It couldn't be much simpler. It's not any different than using a regular deodorant. It's just, I do it just before I shave. You go to shave my face and just run that under the tap, under the arm. I'm good to go.
And how long does that protection last?
I actually tried it out the first time thinking, yeah, right, this isn't going to work. I'm going to stink to high heaven by the end of the day. Day 3, I noticed an odor. So I would tell just about anybody, if you really wanted to, you could probably stretch it out over 2 days between applications.
Well, that'd be a good one to take camping with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but it was. I had to see whether or not it actually worked. I needed to know, and some of the best ways to find out is to test it to its limits. That's basically covering that bit. I can go back to the number one deodorant in the world right now actually is made by the Degree Company and some of their subsidiaries. They are the number one seller and distributor of deodorants on the market. Don't know what the importance that is to people, but I actually have a stick here for women, one of the ones that my daughter actually tried. And Degree makes its money by saying that it responds to your body. It responds to your level of activity, what you're doing during the day. So if you sweat more, it works more. Well, this one right here says that it's the concentration of aluminum zirconium tetrachloride in this bar is 18.2%. The least amount we were able to find after hours of searching underarm deodorant at the store, we were able to find one with 8.6% in Dove. Not that that really has too much of importance to most people, but if you think about it and what it's there for, aluminum zirconium was selected for its ability to obstruct pores in the skin, preventing sweat from leaving the body. It usually comes in an anhydrous form, which gives it the ability to absorb moisture. Okay, most of the underarm deodorants you find are like mostly talc. They are like baby powder, basically. People don't realize this, but talc actually got a warning in 1952. People were using plain talc for baby powder. They were using it all over in the medical industry. They were using it to treat bed sores. They were using it on new babies. Everybody thought it was the greatest stuff in the world. I believe it was in 1976 they actually came out with a report saying that 20% of the batches found on the market, which means already in the consumer's hand or on the shelf being prepared for the consumer's hand, actually found that it had asbestos. You know, that stuff that causes mesothelioma, lung cancer, and all sorts of other really, really bad cancers, was actually in baby powder. It's the stuff that you'll find, the white, powdery substance that you will find in every dry roll-on deodorant. That's where it's coming from. And 20% of it is actually asbestos, or up to 20% is what they said by volume. I don't know if that bothers anybody, but there you go. There's another ingredient in there they don't even put on the label that you could be putting into your body. Okay. Now, the fact that it stops all of this from happening is known in the industry as a colloidal plug. There's an actual term for it. And quite literally what that means is they've designed this product and they use aluminum zirconium to do so. They've combined it in this product because chemically it creates a plug that clogs your pores on purpose. So as far as the smell goes, what they don't tell you is usually the sweat gland, if you look at the pore of a human being or any other mammal, you'll see that the follicle for the hair is down at the bottom, at the very, very bottom. And there's usually a little tiny fatty sac in there that secretes a little bit of oil. And that keeps everything moving inside of there quite well. It makes sure that things that get trapped in there, such as dust or other little nasties, gets washed out every once in a while. Your pores that are actually responsible for excreting the water that is mixed with the chemicals also being pushed out of your body, the toxins, is actually halfway up on the side of your pore. This stuff was designed to plug your pores. So only half of your pore gets clogged. Guess what happens to that fluid that's underneath there? That is where 70% of your body's bacteria grows. All the bacteria that causes body odor, that causes all that stench that every one of us can't stand, comes from underneath that little tiny faucet that lets off the water, that's now plugged because of these exact same chemicals that were put in there. The studies have shown that individuals who do not use underarm deodorant on a regular basis can end up cutting their perspiration by as much as 62%. While those numbers are quite large, they actually have quite a few other figures in there that I didn't write down. Your average individual is going to cut their perspiration by 26%. So 26% to me sounds like a pretty good deal. Like Doc was saying, your body is a very, very efficient machine. It is designed to do very certain things. Your skin being the largest organ, every part of your skin has the ability to sweat. Every part of your skin has the ability to do that, although your body favors certain spots. It favors the spots between your legs, upper thighs, the back of the knee, the elbows, the underarms, the nape of your neck, the small of your back. Places like that sweat a lot. Your forehead. If you have hair, guess what? That's a good place for you to sweat because your pores are larger. There's actually a channel that comes along with that allows you to sweat more. Number one, if you're not taking those toxins into your body, you can't sweat them out. They're not going to feed that bacteria. Number two, if you can get rid of those bacteria, your skin's going to be healthier. The only healthy ingredient I've ever found in any deodorant whatsoever is this one right here. Actually says it has castor oil in it. We all know castor oil is actually pretty good for you, thanks to people like Doc and Jed Adams are actually telling us, castor oil is good for you. It has plenty of good effects. I'm not sure if I really told the funny story that Linda was hoping I was going to tell, other than, making a funny comment about how my daughter stunk. But the things you actually have to consider on this are far more serious than they are to be made light of. Things that we look at, everybody knows that they're bad for you and the reasons why. The things that would concern me, these chemicals being brought into your body have actually got another classification by the medical industry. It is known as a body burden. Okay? A body burden is essentially this. Whatever your body takes in, whatever you eat, you are. So whatever your body takes in, it has to be able to use or get rid of. If it can't use it, it gets rid of it. But a lot of things that we put into our body don't like to be gotten rid of. Aluminum, like Doc said, is one of those. Okay, if you don't know too much about the processes behind it, here's a quick overview. That black goo that Doc was talking about finding inside of breast lumps and the breast cancer or prostate in men when they do the lumpectomies, the reason it's black is called oxidation. Anytime something oxidizes in your body, guess what it's doing? It's pulling needed nutrients from your body to encapsulate, to enclose, to wall off, basically cocoon around that to try to keep it from being reabsorbed into your body and transferred to somewhere else. Your body's found a safe place for it to rest and now has attacked it and done what it can. The only thing you can really do with heavy metals is oxidize them. Everybody knows what rust is. Well, aluminum's rust is black, and that's where it comes from. Aluminum by itself, believe it or not, actually starts out white until it meets oxygen. Again, a really bad thing for it to do inside your body. Anytime you take away from those actions in your body, you're going to need to get it from somewhere else. Another reason why everybody's talking about antioxidants is you want to stop that reaction from happening in your body. That's actually why we age, is things oxidize in our body. Our cells even get used up, and they get to a point where they can no longer function. Well, they get to be replaced. If something's wrong with them when they go to be replaced, that's where cancer comes from. Those cells feed the cancer. In 2007, a study stated that personal care products are potential contributors to the body burden, one of those being aluminum, and newer evidence has been linked to breast cancer and several other types of ailments. These are all linked to products containing the aluminum zirconium. In 2008, another study done by the FDA, I don't know what the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, was doing in there, other than maybe it's a drug, and other leading drug companies said that there was no significant proof of any connection between these products and cancers in the human body. They cited the fact that such studies only proved to be linked to 1.998% of the total population study. Kind of curious that they actually have a number that they go by, and they say that 7.6% of total population must have connections to an ailment in order to consider it harmful. That's a scary number. Although Cancer Society of America and other leading cancer treatment hospitals around the world did a study in 2010 that more than 98% of patients studied with breast or other types of cancer over their lifetime were users of all of these products. Not that that has much to do with it, but there you go. They're saying cancer treatment centers and American Cancer Society are all saying, hey, guess what? We're not saying that there's a correlation or a connection, but 98% of the people that we find here absolutely have used those products from day one, their whole lives. To quote another study, in 1920, or the early 1900s, before 1920, the rate of heart disease in the United States or abroad was less than one person in every 6,000. So less than one person in every 6,000 actually exhibited signs of heart disease around the world. In the 20s, we discovered how to make white bread. White bread is made by bleaching the flour and removing the wheat germ. Upon doing so within a 5-year period of time, by 1921, another study was issued, and they found that heart disease in America had risen 20% across the board. Doctors from around the world actually traveled to the United States in order to study heart disease. Just a simple thing like that. Heart disease. They wanted to study it because nowhere else in the world was there a concentration high enough to warrant study. But in the United States, we had the wonder of white bread, and within 5 years of people eating it, there was heart disease. You can call it coincidence, you can call it what you like. What Doc was saying about the advent of products using aluminum, I hate to admit it, he's absolutely right. The study comes from the actual World War. Okay, World War I, World War II, that era. We were using heavy metals such as iron, lead, copper, bronze. All of these heavy metals were being used in construction of war machines. They were being used in construction of bullets, bombs, airplanes, everything we could get our hands on. Believe it or not, before World War I, most of the planes in the air were made from wood and fabric. There wasn't a lot of aluminum being made. One of the advents that came out of the war, however, was this new metal that was so light and so efficient we could make airplanes out of it. They were a lot lighter than steel. We also found a lot of other uses for it, just like Doc was saying.
All right. Well, thank you, Jack. And just so everybody knows, we have 9 different deodorant products, and some of them are the crystals, like we've been speaking about. But we also have some liquid roll-ons that are made with the crystals, and I've been using those. I've had a lot of good success with the crystal lavender and white tea roll-on, and it's helped me a ton. And normally I sweat, and I don't sweat with this either. And even though it's just a deodorant and not an antiperspirant, it does help me in that category, and I believe it's because I'm not excreting the toxins. But we have several different ones for you to try out, and I suggest you just grab a couple of them and try them out and see what works for you. And we are way over our time tonight, so I'd like to thank you all for being on the call tonight, and we'll catch you next week. Good night, everybody.
Hey.